Your love is rated X. That means you're extraordinary.
What is up, everybody, and welcome back once again to the Don't Shoot Disc Golf podcast. I am your host, Harry Messenger, coming to you live from my studio in South Manchester. Hope you're all having a wonderful week, and I can't wait to get to talk to you all tonight on the live podcast. This is episode 45, and I'd love to give a massive shout out to our sponsors, London Disc Golf Community. Thank you so much for sponsoring the YouTube stream, and to Disc Golf UK for sponsoring the podcast. And yeah, tonight I am joined by a very special guest coming all the way from Canada. It is the one and only Mr. Brandon Timney. Brandon, can you hear me?
What's up, buddy? How's it going?
I am good. How are you? Oh,
I'm good. I'm joining. Siri wanted to join the podcast too.
Yeah, it's gonna be a 3-person show tonight. Joined by Siri and Brandon.
Joining you right in front of the giant Canadian flag in my basement / green screen. But no, it's great to be on, man. I'm so excited you asked me to join. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, it should be really good. I'm excited for everyone to get to meet you and get to know who Brandon is. So should be a good chance to introduce you to some of the UK disc golf scene. So welcome to Ollie, Shane, Matt, Derek, and Tom in the chat, and congrats to Matt on his ace that he got today. It's a funny story.
There we go.
It's a funny story, Brandon. We are in stay-at-home lockdown in the UK still. We are not allowed to play disc golf, but Matt is opening his own course in some woodland that his family own, and they're designing it as we speak, and we are allowed to leave home for work purposes. So so he had a work purposes ace on a test basket at his new course today, which is quite a cool story.
Oh, I love it. We've been in a state of emergency, so we haven't been able to do anything but essential things. But luckily, with some awesome advocacy from some people I know really well here in Toronto, they were able to advocate as disc golf as essential exercise, and the city kept the disc golf baskets in, and we were able to play disc golf through the state of emergency as long as we didn't play in groups bigger than 4, kept proper social distancing. They sent out bylaw officers to the park to enforce it, but thank goodness we've been able to play. So
yeah, we've been on and off throughout the year. There's been various different rules, and I think the problem for a lot of us right now is not really not actually being physically able to play as exercise. It's that we're not supposed to travel to courses, and there's not that many courses here in the UK yet. There's about 35 to 40 sort of proper courses, and then a couple more sort of few baskets or pop-up courses. But yeah, there's not that many people who live within sort of walking distance of a course. So yeah, Ian saying in chat it's been 60 days since he's played. That's about right.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, but hopefully we got so this is a great transition actually. We've got the UK Disc Golf News, the first segment of the show every week. And yeah, in some slightly positive UK Disc Golf news, which is not something we've had an awful lot of lately. The government this week announced their roadmap to coming out of our lockdown. And so we've got 29th of March. So just over a month away is the date for disc golfers to write down as to when meeting up with people to play outdoor sports will be permitted. So 29th of March, everyone is going to be good to go. We've got an earlier date of 8th of March, which is still somewhat debatable what that would mean for disc golf, but I'm fairly sure the BDGA is going to say still the same rules as now. But 29th, we're definitely good to go, and hopefully tournaments coming soon.
That's awesome. Yeah, tournaments have been the biggest hit here, waiting to make sure that we can have PDGA sanctioning. There have been some smaller courses that are like privately owned courses who have run a couple incredibly executed tournament series where all the players' meetings were virtual. Everything was assigned tee times, and really doing a good job to enforce social distancing and make sure it's safe. But even through that, last year tournament season was a wash. I think 80% of our tournaments were canceled between April and September, including the Canadian Nationals, which is a huge event, and an A tier on the PDGA circuit. And this year was supposed to be a DGPT Silver Series event, but unfortunately, due to COVID and people being able to travel into Canada, it takes a huge contingent of US players and players worldwide that would come in to play the event. So they've already announced that that's canceled for 2021 too, which is a bummer.
Yeah, that brings me on to some of the other things that we had to announce today, which is unfortunately that the UK Majors Tour for 2021 is cancelled. We mentioned it briefly on last week's show, but the people who it concerns have decided that encouraging travel between the four countries this year is unfortunately not what they are willing to condone, despite the fact that we'll be out of, according to the roadmap, we'll be out of all of our lockdowns. Plenty of time to run the tournaments, but the decision has been made that they're not going to encourage travel this year. So the major tour is cancelled, and the English Open in June is also cancelled for now. Creeksea have decided they can't safely host it, so that is officially completely cancelled, but less officially looking for a new venue / later in the year. But yeah, that's sort of the main disc golf news this week. So a bit of sad news, but also a lot to look forward to. Of course, the Women's Global event in May that I know a lot of you are looking forward to. A lot of the women in our community is looking likely to be able to go ahead according to the current guidelines, so that's exciting. We've got 35-ish women signed up for our Women's Global event, which is about 7 or 8 times as many as we would have had this time 2 years ago. So great job of growing the women's scene here in the country. And of course, other tournaments will start to get sprinkled in as the rules relax. So lots to look forward to. How's the women's scene in Canada, Brandon?
The women's scene in Canada is starting to grow. A huge, I think, proponent to growth of the women's scene in Canada is Ultimate this year. With Ultimate seasons being canceled and cut short, we've seen a lot of Ultimate players transition to disc golf. And that transition has been awesome to witness firsthand, because you're seeing ladies come in with the ability to throw a disc already and the practice of throwing a disc already. So they're able to experience disc golf at a higher level from the onset. And I think it encourages them to play more when they're competitive. And I have a lot of friends who I've brought out 1 or 2 times. And I mean, they have a great time for the social aspect of it, but they don't have the drive to compete. And where we really need to see growth in the Canadian scene is the competitive women's scene. We want to see that FA2 field boom. We want to see the FA1 field grow. We're not going to go as far as saying we want to see the FPO field grow yet, because we know for that to happen, we need to see the FA2 fields and the FA1 fields grow, so ladies can get tournament experience and get some of that under their belt. But we are starting to see that happen, which is awesome. I've seen, I think, one of the highest contingent of signups for FA2 that I've seen in a while. This is a huge, call out to Canadian tournament directors who aren't watching right now, but I'm sure you guys may have this issue in the UK too. They really need to rethink how they assign spots for these tournaments. If we want to encourage growth in disc golf for women, we can't allow a certain amount of spots for levels. You have to allow spots for divisions. If that means not letting 6 extra guys register for the event because you secured a division of 8 people for the FAs and FA1s and FA2s. What happens here is we'll have events that fill with MA3 fields of 62 people and then a 12 female wait list in FA2 with a division that doesn't have anyone in it because the tournament already filled up. So I think there's a lot that needs to be done to rethink how we can encourage growth of disc golf amongst ladies in the competitive landscape in Canada, and that's what we're working on hardest right now. But it's positive, it's moving forward, and people are asking the questions, which is great too. I saw a lot of teams announced this year, sponsored teams from some of our distributors and dealers, and they were all guys, and a lot of people were asking the questions like, where are the ladies? And it was guys asking those questions, which I think is a huge step forward too, right? So
yeah, for sure,
it's been good. The growth's been great, and we're excited. I'm excited about that Throw Pink Women's U.S. National Championships that was announced yesterday to go alongside the USDGC. So that's super exciting. I think that's a huge step too.
Yeah, so for anyone in chat who doesn't know, I'm sure Brandon's got the details more than me, but I think basically what happened last year was there was a simultaneous event with USDGC, which was the Women's National Championships. This year, that is still being held, but it's being held earlier. Not on the same weekend as USDGC, but they've announced that there will be a concurrent event, which is this Women's Throw Pink Championships. So they're basically getting an extra Elite Series event. Do you want to fill in any of the gaps, Brandon?
Yeah, and so it's going to be the top 40 ranked women across the U.S. Based on an invitation basis, just like the USDGC is going to be. And they really just want to bring that prestige of the USDGC and show the ladies that they deserve the same kind of tournament, right? So I'm really excited about that. I think it's a really cool thing to do, and the USDGC is such exciting disc golf. It's going to be awesome to see the women doing the same thing. And what I think is really cool is, well, maybe not is as cool, but you're going to have some of the ladies that would have played in the USDGC before still choose to play in the USDGC maybe instead of the women's championship. So I think that's going to be maybe a little controversial when it gets to that point. So we'll see how that gets handled. But I know someone like Paige Pierce and Kat Allen, they love the USDGC. They live to go out there and throw with the guys. So we'll see what happens when the time comes. But it's exciting, super exciting.
Definitely. And I think that's something that's quite cool about USDGC. We get to experience MPO not being men's open. It's mixed. It's always been mixed.
Yes.
But it's cool that we get to see that at least once a year. So I hope that does continue. So yeah, in other US, primarily US-based disc golf news this week, we had, I know Brandon will be very excited about this one as a big Discraft fanboy, Paul Macbeth. Paul Macbeth making big headlines, signing a 10-year deal with Discraft worth $1 million per year, which is a big step up from his previous contract, and just sort of shows the massive growth and explosion that Macbeth and Discraft have experienced together.
Yeah, so this I definitely do have some inside information on for you. So perfect timing, actually, to have me on the podcast after that announcement yesterday.
Definitely.
So I'm wearing this Axiom hat 100% in support of my friend Harry Messenger here. He told me I shouldn't wear all Discraft because I might just lose you guys right from the beginning. So I am a Discraft thrower. I throw Discraft.
We can use the word. We can use the word fanboy. That's fine.
Hey, buddy. Hey. I just love the plastic, and it's not even a Macbeth thing. For me at the beginning, it was what was accessible. Can't say that anymore. And I'll be the first person to call Discraft out on that. Give us more discs, Discraft. But it's huge. So pretty much the way Bob Julio put it was that Macbeth outpaced his 4-year deal in retail sales for Discraft in year one. His 4-year deal was $1 million over 4 years, meaning they sold more than $1 million worth of his discs in 2020 through COVID, through all that stuff. It's remarkable. And what I'm most excited about is I bet you this morning every professional disc golfer had a grin from ear to ear. Every disc manufacturer was crapping their pants. Because I've seen a lot of people on the internet say, oh, like now that Macbeth's making that, you got to pay all the top players that. And I don't think that's what it is. I think a lot of it comes down to what they're bringing you in. But I look at people like an Eagle McMahon. I look at people like a Simon Lizotte, where it's about marketing and what they do for their brand. And you look at drops like when the Skyrider came out, or when Eagles discs come out, like they're instant sellouts because of the name. And those are the people that I think are going to get these big contracts. It's not going to be, hey, you're top 10 rated in the world. It's what do you do for us? And the reason Macbeth's getting paid is because he's bringing in money for Discraft. I think it's amazing for the sport. I think it brings in more legitimacy when you have people earning contracts that are bigger than some professional hockey players, some professional, you know what I mean? It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely cool to see.
Yeah, so it's fun. And I don't even think it's great for disc golf. Don't get me wrong. It's good for disc golf.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure. So chat will know that I am notorious for not being Discraft's biggest fan of all time. But yeah, I'm 100% on board, and I think both signing such a huge deal with Macbeth and then coming out publicly and making those details public and really contributing away to everybody else disc golf future. I'm sure that quite a lot of disc golfers will have phoned up their manufacturer this morning and said, "Hey, look, Macbeth's getting 10 million. I'm making 40,000 a year, or much less for probably many of the major disc golfers around. Where's my I want my cut." So it's really great to be able to see things like that happening, and it is the way that sports like disc golf will grow with more openness about their finances.
Oh, for sure.
We've got Tom in chat saying, "I heard on the street that James Conrad is actually paying to be on the MVP team." I feel like that is definitely not likely. James signed the biggest contract of MVP's manufacturing career by a long way. They have committed to making signature discs for James, which is really cool to see. And hopefully the first one's going to come out this year. They're being a bit uncommittal about that from what I've seen, because their production is absolutely slammed like a lot of many manufacturers are. So fingers crossed.
So Harry, I know you probably saw this on the MVP forum because you're in there with me, but right after the All-Stars, one guy goes like such a douche and posts, "Hey, looks like James Conrad isn't loving the MVP yet." And James Conrad, like the stud he is, comes on the post and he's like, "Yeah, so I got asked to do this event 3 days before it happened. And I've been tuning in my discs for Vegas, so I didn't want to use the ones I liked in Arizona and lose them all in the water. So I thought I threw pretty well considering." And everyone just started like, "Oh my God, James Conrad's on here. He just read this post." I bet the guy who posted that felt like such a turd.
That's funny, actually. I didn't see that, so that's cool. Thanks for sharing that. But yeah, James Conrad's such a chill dude, and I look forward to seeing what he can do.
And shout out to a fellow Canadian, actually, Michael Ramanoskis, who does a lot of design for MVP. Double Ram, that signature disc, the Bendy James, is wicked, and some of Michael's stuff is just so cool. So big, got to give him a big shout out. He does some fantastic work.
Definitely agree. I don't think I've got anything of his to hand, but I think I do own something he's done, so I might have to get that out for next week. But yeah, I think the only one that you can see at the moment on camera is the Marmo set Goose Gang. But yeah, MVP's stamp game is on another level because of the precision and triple foil designs that they can achieve.
Absolutely.
Really been digging some of those myself. Yeah, so let's bring up the actual show graphics. But before we do that, I've got a couple of plugs I want to do. So bear with me, everybody. So the Don't Shoot charity auction. Let me tell you about this, Brandon, because it's something I'm very excited about, and it is exactly 1 month from today. So 25th of March. The time is going to start a little bit earlier. It's going to start at 8 p.m. GMT, so 1 hour earlier, and it's going to be 2.5 hours long, and we're going to be auctioning discs for charity. We're going to be doing challenges on stream. There's going to be I think probably 4 or 5 different guests joining me for short segments. We're going to be basically raising a ton of money for 2 amazing disc golf charities, which is going to be Edge and Uplay. Money's going to be split between them. And yeah, we're going to try and raise $1,000. That's our fundraising goal. And if we reach it, then we're going to be doing some forfeits. So I'm a bit nervous for that. But yeah, that's next month. But we still need donations of things to auction. Otherwise, I'm going to be stood here auctioning all my own possessions because nobody's donated enough stuff yet. So you guys in chat, if you're here watching me instead of watching the Disc Golf Network, I want you to send me something to auction. And we'll get it donated to charity. So there's a shipping label, which you do need to pay the actual shipping for, but then you also need to stick the shipping label on. It's on the Don't Shoot Facebook page. It's the pinned post. Send it out to Claycross, and we will get it auctioned. Really good cause.
That's wicked. That gives me a month so I can get you something letter mail, no problem. And it'll only cost me $5 and not like 70. So you DM me the address to send it to, Harry, and I will give you something to give away for that auction. 100%, I promise you.
I'll make it happen. Thank you. Appreciate it. And the other thing I've got to plug, which is also combined, is that I am starting a Don't Shoot Patreon account. We've got one
sweet.
Patreon so far, so I'm going to need a few more than one. But all you have to do is give $1. £1. We're doing pounds on this one. So patreon.com/don'tshoot. In March, in the month of March, I'm doing this thing where I'm going to walk 10,000 steps every single day in March. So it's about an hour and a half of walking every day, a bit more maybe. And while I'm doing my walks every day, I'm going to record a 1-minute video about something to do with disc golf, a bite-sized piece of disc golf content, and those videos are going to be exclusive to Patreon. So if you want to see those videos for any reason, and it's worth £1 to charity of your time, which surely you can give £1 to charity. Sign up, make a pledge on Patreon. Everything we raise in March on the Patreon is also going to get rolled into the money we raise on the charity auction. And then if you keep your subscription rolling after that, it will be used to support the podcast and me. But feel free to just cancel after 1 month if you don't want to continually support the show. That's also cool. So that's patreon.com/don'tshoot, all one word. And yeah, hopefully we get a few people signed up to join me on my 10,000 steps challenge in March.
So listen, guys, you can't go to Starbucks. You're not going out to get your coffee. You're doing all this stuff at home. Harry's sitting there. He's so handsome. He's putting in all this work. What's $1, a couple dollars a month? Get on his Patreon. 100% worth it. You won't miss it. Don't unsubscribe after the first month. Don't undercut yourself, Harry. Keep it going.
Yeah, but for real, I look forward to hanging out with you guys who do decide to support me on Patreon. It was a user requested thing for me to do it. I wasn't originally going to, and people said we wanted to support you, so that's why it got set up in the first place. I'm cool with it if you guys want to join in, and we'll have a good time for sure. So yeah, on with the actual podcast. I nearly loaded in without you there, Brandon, but you can come along for the next segment. And yeah, okay, I'll give you a choice. What do you want to talk about first? Do you want to talk a bit more about growing disc golf in Canada and in the UK and some comparisons, or do you want to talk about the 2021 Pro Tour?
Oof. I guess we can touch a little bit more on the growth for a couple minutes and then move on to the Pro Tour.
Sounds good to me.
So I mean, I guess I've got a question for you, Harry. So when it comes to growth, I mean, would you say the biggest focus for you guys in the UK is still that ground level growth, putting in new, shorter courses, introducing people to the game, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think I would say that is the case here. Yeah, I think we're a bit behind where the US is, a bit behind where they are in Europe, and I think in order for the sport to grow here, the main thing we need public awareness of disc golf. Because if you went up to a random person on the street and said, did you know that there's a disc golf course in X town? They would say no, almost 100% of the time. I think the vast majority of the UK public have never heard of disc golf, would be confused. I've met people walking dogs on disc golf courses that had no idea that the disc golf baskets were for disc golf.
That's what I was just going to say. I was on a course this morning that was put in seasonally just for the winter. And we were playing, and we were on one of the holes, and they also allow people to snowshoe there. And people were snowshoeing, and we're like, okay, well, just heads up, we're just throwing our discs in that direction. They're like, oh, cool, who are you throwing it to? I was like, oh, that basket down there. They're like, oh, that's what that's for. And you get a 50% reaction here. You either get people looking at you like, man, you're crazy, or you get the other half where they're really curious. And what I've started to notice lately is I think it's on us as the disc golf community to drive that curiosity, because I think in the past we've almost been resistant to inclusion, where it's like, oh yeah, I'm doing this thing, but like, don't worry about it. Just mind your own business. Keep on walking. And I've seen a lot of people have that attitude where it's like they're posting on our local forums. And they're like, oh, like, all these people are picnicking on the course and all these people are sitting by the baskets. Do they not know it's a disc golf course? And I'll post and I'll be like, no, they don't. they have no idea it's a disc golf course. Did you tell them? Did you go over there and have a polite conversation with them about the fact that where they're sitting is where a lot of people are going to be throwing, and for their own safety, it would be smart to move over and, maybe show them a good area where discs won't land? It's like, no, you didn't make the effort to do that. And I think that's what's so important in these grassroots stages. I'm really excited about the growth of disc golf in Ontario and in Canada specifically. And not a lot of people here will echo this sentiment, but pay to play disc golf is really starting to grow here on golf courses. A lot of golf courses aren't seeing high profit anymore, so we're seeing a lot of these golf courses adapt and bring on disc golf, which is amazing for them because they're seeing a whole new side of things. And when I say pay to play, I don't mean golf rates. Like, we're talking like some of these places are $10 for play all day, right? One place I got for $80, I got a punch card for 10 rounds, so it's $8 a round for an 18-hole, 7,500-foot course. So I mean, like, these are great places, right? And they're places that are dedicated for disc golf, and I really like that direction. Don't get me wrong, I like the parks. I like these shorter courses that can help introduce people to the game. But I think we're starting to enter that. We're nowhere near where the States is right now, but we're entering that next tier of growth where it's like, what can we do for the people who are hooked and are looking for more? Because those are the people right now here who are providing the growth by buying insane amounts of discs from local retailers. There's a distributor that I used to work with in Canada who I'm no longer working with, but still love to death, Top Link Disc Golf. And I mean, they have 160 retailers that they distribute to across Canada. Last year, doing almost $1 million in revenue, selling disc golf discs and equipment. And it's just insane. Like, our minds explode when we think about this kind of thing, but there really is such a growth in the market. And we've seen a collector's market start to establish in Canada, which was never here before. People actually buying discs for foil type and stamp and runs, and it's really cool. So where I think we could improve, and I'm sure you would echo me on this too, is inclusion. Disc golf is really white men here, and we've seen some huge efforts to diversify disc golf, and especially on the ladies side of things with Throw Pink initiatives and fundraisers. And we did a tournament last year where any lady who signed up had a guy assigned to caddy for her for the entire round, so carry the bag and do that and really just make them feel like pros. And we had a players meeting with the guys before where we were like, don't be a dick, don't mansplain, don't tell them how to throw their discs or what shots they should take, or just be there for them and encourage them and ask them what they need. And man, it was just so cool. We're going to do it again when we can next year, but just whatever you can do to make it feel like these people belong. And I think the great thing we do here is we do a lot of doubles leagues. We make sure in the doubles leagues that we don't random draw. Doubles don't work really well. We have people who are great matchmakers that will place people from a B pool with people from an A pool, so that you're always either playing with someone better than you, or you always have a chance to take home some cash. And it's gone a long way in the last year. So it's super exciting, the growth of disc golf. It's frustrating sometimes when you have to wait to tee off, but it's a good thing. And courses are growing like crazy. We've seen 4 new courses this year just in the Greater Toronto area.
Very good.
And Disc Golf Park actually officially came to Canada this year. So we have 5 official disc golf park designers that are now working with Discmania to put in disc golf parks so that the courses in Canada have a high standard to them as well, which is pretty fantastic.
That's really good. And I really want to just focus on what you just said there about doubles, because I think that's something that we could do much better in the UK. I don't know about everywhere, but I'm not 100% sure if I've ever played doubles, which is crazy.
Really?
Maybe once. I'm trying to remember. I think I played in Scotland with Noah, maybe. But yeah, I might have never played doubles, which is bizarre to me because it's such a cool way to play, and it just doesn't really seem
So
to happen here.
we'll have two main types of leagues here. You'll have handicap leagues and you'll have doubles leagues. The handicap leagues will always be singles. They're established by you go out and you play 3 rounds that don't count for anything to establish your handicap. Your handicap adjusts cumulatively throughout the season as you play, and it gives everyone an opportunity to win and place based on how they play, right? But what's more fun, and what we see way bigger participation for, is our doubles league. We have a doubles league at White Spruce Park, which before COVID in Brampton was seeing, I think, 75, almost 80 people out a week, running pro and am divisions. And the way they ran it was super simple. You signed up for pro, you signed up for am, and each team was consisting of 1 pro and 1 am, and it was best shot doubles. And it's great because you play with different people every week. But it's less pressure, it's more fun, and it's just a great way to learn a different side of the game too. If you've never played doubles before, you have to play so differently. It's like, should I lay this up, should I run it? You can really have a good time. It's actually fun if you watch some of the preparation videos for the All-Star Challenge. I think Macbeth did one with Brody Smith where he was just talking about strategy for doubles, and like Heather Young, same thing as you, Harry. Heather came on the mic for the press conference for that All-Stars, and she was like, I've never played doubles before. It's the first time I've ever played doubles. So I don't think it's just you. It might be a UK thing, but doubles disc golf's really popular here, especially for people getting into the sport. It's way less intimidating than going and getting placed on a card with 3 people who are shooting from even to 5-6 down and you're 15-16 over. It just makes you feel like garbage. So to have your partner be able to help carry you a little bit and get you through those tougher rounds is such a great thing when you're new to the sport, and really encouraging.
Yeah, definitely. I think maybe I somehow slightly have exaggerated or forgotten. I must have played once or twice, I'm sure, but yeah, it's really not a thing here, especially like a doubles league or something that's organized like that. And I think that'd be something really good that we could start to do. And it is something that would be able to include newer players, or ladies or juniors, into the sort of the more competitive side of disc golf without being overly competitive. So that would be really cool to consider. Maybe something we can do here at Manchester Disc Golf in 2021, later in the year when we're allowed to socialise. So Brandon, over in Canada, how's the junior league or junior divisions holding up?
So the junior divisions are not great because the juniors get so good so fast, they just move into the amateur level. So we have 12, 13-year-old kids who are winning MA3 and MA2 consistently, I think, because kids are starting a little earlier and they're getting so good so fast, right? So
yeah, for sure.
We had some junior divisions last year where the junior divisions, we actually had one tournament last year, the Toronto Island Maple Leaf, which used to be a big A tier here in Toronto. And one of the kids, 14 years old in junior, in the first round, shooting the same layout as MA3, shot 8 strokes better than the first place competitor in MA3. And they just told him they were dissolving the junior division and he was moving into MA3 because there's no point, right? So we don't have enough juniors. I think in the tournament scene, we have some great cities and towns that are doing some really cool things with junior leagues, getting some sponsorships. I hate to give them a shout out because I'll admit I'm not a huge fan, but shout out to Prodigy in Canada because they've done a lot in donating discs and time and baskets. Lat 64 too, through a guy named Steve McNeil, who's a sponsored player in St. Thomas. He runs a junior clinic out there, and he consistently gets 25 to, before COVID and throughout when it was allowed, 25 to 30 kids out to that. So it's tough because just like in female disc golf, in the competitive side, tournament directors look at the amount of spots they have. And if they can't get a division that's big enough to run, they just don't allocate enough space for the division. And unfortunately, who suffers are the ladies and the juniors. And because of that, we don't get tons of those juniors that have that drive to compete. And again, when they do, they're competing at higher levels. So that's something I'm passionate about. It's something I know that will probably grow more now that a lot of these ultimate players have come over to disc golf too, because that growth within the juniors and ultimate is huge. Trying to build that next generation and outreach within youth through the ultimate community. So I'm hoping that translates. A couple of the people that are running some local retail shops actually that came from the ultimate scene are doing just that. One of them, I'll give them a shout out here. The Good Disc, he donates 25% of his profits back to create opportunities for juniors to play and donating discs and stuff like that. So I wish we were doing more, but with growth, it'll come. And I think the more people my age that have 5, 3, 1-year-old kids that are dragging them out to play disc golf for them will help spawn that future generation where there's more people to play in that kind of age group.
Definitely. Something really cool that our friends over in Europe at Natural Born Disc Golfer do is they have these event series, and they take a lot of their profits and use that to make junior entry free to all of their tournaments, which
that's wicked.
Which is something really cool. And I don't think we're quite at the point in the UK where we would be sustainable enough financially to do that yet, but it's definitely something that I'd like to see some tournaments try and experiment with in the future. And I know Ollie at London Disc Golf Community has been doing that with his. He ran some junior events last year, and he's got some plans to do junior divisions and stuff. So there are things in the works here, but again, a lot of the juniors get so good so quickly that they just dominate. Shout out to Noah Smithson, who's one of our up and coming players. Well, he was up and coming 2 years ago when he was a junior, but now he's one of the highest rated players in the whole country already, and he's still only 17, I think. So
we've got a kid from British Columbia, Canada. He's an Innova sponsored player named Carver Whitford, and this kid, when he was 11 years old, could throw 400 feet.
Wow.
And he is just, and he's so small, but he's just such dynamite. And that's the thing. You have these kids, and I think one of the cool things here is the open-mindedness where these kids are really good at something, and especially when it's disc golf, their parents. So what you guys stereotypically, Canadians love hockey, right, guys? And I know hockey's not as huge in the UK. How many people play hockey around you here?
Basically,
you have a ton of friends that play hockey, right? So what you guys might not know about hockey is hockey's insanely expensive to play. Hockey is insanely expensive to play because hockey is a really expensive sport to facilitate. Refrigerating rinks and creating ice surfaces, even in the winter indoors, to play on is incredibly expensive. So sign-up fees for leagues are $300-$400 a year. But then you have to buy equipment. And the thing is, when you're playing hockey as a kid, you're buying equipment every year. You're buying shin guards, you're buying a chest protector, you're buying new hockey pants because you're growing. And you're only selling your old equipment for a quarter of what you paid for it. Like, hockey's super expensive. So when you have a 9-year-old kid who's like, I could be a disc golf prodigy, and the parents are like, wait a second, your equipment costs like $35 and someone's willing to give you the discs for free. So the parents will go all in, and we've got a couple of really wicked juniors. And even aside from juniors, I know all of you guys have heard the name Thomas Gilbert now, and Thomas is a young guy, guys. He was only 17 years old 2.5 years ago when he started playing disc golf, and he started playing actually at a park that's 25 minutes from my house. And one of the ambassadors in our area, Al Walker, was one of the first guys that started playing with Thomas. And Thomas was just one of those kids that came and he was throwing ultimate discs with his friends while he was slacking off at lunch from school. And then he bought a couple real discs and he could just throw them. And I think that's something that not a lot of people think about with disc golf too. Like, you see people that are so frustrated and they're like, oh man, how can I not hit I'm at a plateau right now. I can't get over this barrier. And I'm like, oh, what distance are you hitting? And they're like, oh man, like I'm hitting 375 consistently, but I just can't get to like 450. And I just look at them and I shake my head and I'm like, man, like some people just have a thing. Like you're a good musician, or you can just cook, right? Or you can just do stuff. And sure, you practice. And I don't want to ever put aside hard work, but did you watch that Make Moves video yesterday with Macbeth?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Like, did you see him hitting that baseball in the batting cage?
Yeah. Crazy.
Like the sound that he made there sounded like a major leaguer hitting the baseball, and he never does that anymore. Like some people just have it, and I'm not saying these people don't have it, but at a certain point you have to just accept that there's a certain level some people are at, and then there's a level you're at. And when I saw Thomas play when I'd been playing for 2.5 years, and he'd come on, he's been playing for 2 months, and he's throwing 500 feet and he's making 70-foot putts and he's doing all this stuff, I could have been like, oh man, how do I get there? But no, I was just like, man, this kid has it. And like, it's really cool to see. And it's so cool to see when it's in kids, because they're just so inspiring, because the excitement they have and the passion they have for it is so contagious.
Yeah, I love it. I love stuff like that, and it's really cool. It is really cool to see. You're right, and I totally get what you mean, because Noah, who I just mentioned, me and him basically started playing together. Like we both pretty much picked up disc golf at the same point, and after 8 months of playing, his rating was 880, which is what mine is now after 3 years. So so the progress really isn't comparable, but we'll all get there, and it is, like you say, it is inspiring to see young people pick it up and just know how to do it without needing to learn how to do it, if you know what I mean.
For sure.
So yeah, Brandon, let's do your Desert Island Disc segment, because time is ticking. We're cracking through the show as it always does. So let's fire on over to the Desert Island Discs graphics. There we go. And like I always like to say, so this is how it goes. We say you are going to be playing a disc golf tournament on a desert island. It's a magical desert island, so if you lose a disc, it will be returned to you. So no need to worry about not bringing your favorites. There's going to be a mixture of some open holes, some wooded holes, some long holes, some short holes, some trees, and some water. But so you're just going to need to bring 3 discs: 1 putter, 1 mid-range, 1 driver, and they can be your go-tos. So what are you going to bring?
So I bet you everyone always starts with the driver or starts with the putter. So I'm going to start with the mid-range.
You might be the first person to have ever started with the mid-range. So.
And I'm going to start with the mid-range because it's the most versatile disc in my bag. It is an insanely overstable disc, and it actually just went in the bag today officially, because I've been looking to replace a Dynamic Disc Justice forever, since I went all Discraft. Recently, I realized that DGA was actually owned by Discraft. So DGA is allowed in my Discraft bag, and DGA makes some wicked discs, and they make this amazing mid-range, and it is called the Quake. And this is a first flight Quake, and I'm going to put this on its side, and hopefully my green screen doesn't eat it all up. I'll put it closer. That's awful. Sorry, guys.
We see
there, you can see it a little bit. So it's insanely flat, and this is totally a utility flick mid for me. I can either release this hard and flat and have it probably glide about 250, 260 before it starts fading really hard to the right on a right-hand forehand. But what I like it for even more is I can chop it on almost like a 45-degree forehand anhyzer and really, really, really trust it to always come back. So it's in those woods for those trees and for those spike hyzers for some of those water holes. The Quake is going to be absolutely necessary. Then we'll talk about my putter.
Okay.
This won't surprise you guys. We got a beautiful black on black Discraft Luna here. And I actually only putt with the black Lunas. They are a very different special blend plastic when they don't have the extra color filament in them to make kind of that jawbreaker effect. So you actually get a little bit more grip and in the same weight, they're not quite as firm. So I like them because even though they're hard, I can really dig my thumb in. I have a lot of people will putt with their finger right on the leading edge of the disc. I really like to get extra spin on that putt, so I actually do like a full tuck with my index finger. And because the Luna is dead flat on the bottom, you guys, this is awful with this flag. Hold on, I'm turning this off for you guys for this segment, and I'll take 1 second. There we go. And because this Luna is dead flat on the rim with no bead, I really like that it doesn't hook hard under my finger. I can get a super clean release. And while I have that off, I'll show you how flat that Quake is. Like it is bored flat. Very similar to Axiom Pyro.
Probably more overstable, right? It's more like a deflector.
A little bit more overstable, almost like a deflector. Yeah, the Pyro will get a little bit more forward glide. So my utility driver is going to be this one right here. And this disc actually came from the man himself, Mr. Paul Ulibarri.
Wow.
And this is one of his shield stamped Raptors. And the reason I picked the Raptor is because the Raptor is so much better than a Firebird. And let me tell you why. If you want a Raptor to be a Firebird, you can just get a super stable Raptor, something in crystal plastic, something in the crystal sparkle. And you'll get exactly like a Firebird. But if you want something that's a little bit more practical than a Firebird to actually throw backhand and get a bit more glide out of it before it hooks, the Raptor is fantastic, especially in this ESP plastic. I'll throw this forehand for any shot kind of under 300 feet that needs to go straight with a decent right finish. But I will also throw this for any hyzer backhand in that 300-foot range because I trust it so much to hold that hyzer line. But again, not dump like the Firebird does right away. It still actually gets a little bit of glide. And I love that swirly. Super, super swirly to a series.
It does look nice. It does look nice.
So the Raptor would be my go-to driver, and this disc actually has a very recent ace from about a week ago.
Congrats.
I do not believe in inking up my ace discs. I don't even believe in inking my discs. My name is nowhere on the rim here. I may be crazy, but I don't know. I don't like to do it.
Fair enough. As long as you're not using them in sanctioned tournaments, I guess you're good.
Oh, I put a little unique marking on all of them.
Oh right.
But
okay.
I don't put my name or PDGA number or anything like that. So
that's fair enough. I like to put my name and my number on my discs because I want them back if I lose them. But that's more because I'm sort of a bit egotistical, and I appreciate that my discs are special. So all my discs in my bag are pretty much non-stock stamped or swirly or other things. So I want them back if I lose them. But
yeah, it's the same thing for me. I guess it's not even confidence because I throw them in places so much. I will go to any means to get my discs back when I lose them on a disc golf course. If that means taking off my socks and shoes and pants and going into the water while it's minus 18, what was it yesterday? 17. I rolled my pant legs up and went in a stream that was still running and almost froze my toes off. And it wasn't even my disc. That is because I'm a good friend. That was for my buddy.
That is dedication right there.
It was a really nice disc.
Got Ian in chat saying my bag would be empty if my name wasn't on them. I feel that. I do.
So I found this really cool thing where you can actually get these little miniature heat plates created, where you can kind of hot stamp your own discs. So you get these plates and then you press the plate on like a bottom of an iron or something like that. And then you can position the foil on your disc and you can actually like hot stamp your own discs.
Now that's
so a friend of mine has one, and he started hot stamping the underside of his own discs with like his own logo and stuff like that. So I think that's pretty cool. So a lot of my friends have those custom stamps that they've gotten designed with their name and PDGA number, and they ink the discs up.
Yeah, you see that over here too.
So I usually play in with 3-4 people. I guess it's weird. Most of the courses I play, there's not, other than like lakes and stuff like that, there's not a ton of place to lose your discs. And most of the places you lose your discs in these lakes and stuff, people are not going in there to get them back. So even if my name was on it, I'm probably not seeing it again.
Yeah, for sure. Like my home course, I'm super lucky that really it's kind of just a public park. The community is great, and if you do lose a disc, you get it back most of the time, which is not always the case in other places. So so shout out to Manchester Disc Golf for that one. But yeah, it's worth having your name on the discs here because you get them back a lot if you lose them. So that's nice. But yeah, that hot stamp thing you were saying about I love
I'll send you a
foils,
link. It's pretty cool.
So yeah, I'm definitely down for a bit of investigation into that one.
Have you guys heard of, off topic, and then we'll move on to the DGPT because I know that's important too. Have you guys heard of AGL down there? AGL discs?
For sure, yeah. People here have got some AGL.
So AGL is really cool, and I think this is the future because if you go on the AGL website, you actually have the ability to completely customize your disc. So you can pick the main foil you want to put on it. If you have a disc golf team, so I'm on a sponsored team here called Wicked Aces out of the States, out of Tennessee. And like we have Wicked Aces discs that we can go on and we can order them with a quarter stamp and say where we want it positioned, what kind of foil we want it stamped with. And you can get like bonus stamps on like the discs there. So it's really cool. They allow you to purchase this, like the disc for $17, the disc with a special stamp for an extra $1.50, the disc with your own custom stamp on it and it's really neat. I think, especially being a Discraft fanboy, as Harry will say, I'm all about the foils and the way they look on the discs and like the color combos. And I think it would be so cool to be able to go on a manufacturer's website and you'd have to pay for it for sure, but be like, I want this disc with this foil and this color sparkle in it and boom, boom, boom. But with the way disc golf's booming, that is never going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'd love to be able to do stuff like that. I think the major, because I've looked into having a hot stamp made and stuff, and the major costs involved are just the origination of the original stamp. So if they can do custom things without that incurring that's really clever.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, I'll have to investigate that because that's my kind of thing. So yeah, we've only got 5 minutes or so, Brandon, but we can do a quick Disc Golf Pro Tour season preview. And instead of going kind of course by course or player by player, I'm gonna ask you for some predictions. So I'll go first because I've had a bit of time to prep, but we're gonna do who you think is gonna win a major this year. We're going to do who you think is going to be the player, because so DGPT announced that they're going to be doing certain categories this year. They're going to do player of the season and they're going to do rookie of the year. So I'm going to ask you your prediction for the player of the season and the rookie of the year. The rookie of the year might be harder because obviously there's criteria for people who played last year not counting. But if you've got any ideas for somebody who's on tour for the first time or a newer name on tour, that'll be interesting to hear. So I'll give you a second to think. So I think winning a major this year, I'm going to go for Eagle McMahon. I'm very excited to see if Eagle McMahon this can be the year where he steps it up and realizes some of the potential he's had for the last few years. And he's won a lot of events, don't get me wrong. And he's won a European Open, so he has won a major. But I'd love to see Eagle take down a World Championship this year. I'd love to see Eagle win USDGC this year. I think he's got all the skills that's needed, apart from maybe some of the mental game. And as he gets older, I think that will come. And I think this could be Eagle's year. And on the female side, I'm very keen to see if Sarah Hokum can win another major. I'm a big fan of Sarah Hokum. She was on the podcast 2 weeks ago, and I got to talk to her about some stuff. And I think she's been on tour for a while now. She's sort of getting on a little bit in terms of not being able to necessarily keep up with the younger players in terms of pure distance or growing their technique as fast as they are. So I think if Sarah's going to win another major, it might be this year. So I'm excited to see what she can do.
I love it.
Have you got any picks?
Yep. So I'll start with my FPO. So everyone would think, being a Discraft guy, I'd pick Paige or Missy Gannon or Kona Pan. Or I just gave it away. Or Haley King, but I'm picking Kona Panis. Kona looked insane in the All-Star weekend.
Yeah.
Like she looked insane. And hearing Paige talk about her on Paige's Instagram, it sounds like she's just put in work. She looks so smooth. I think she's going to have an incredible year. On the guys' side, I think you got to watch out for Kyle Klein. And I would not doubt that at some of those more technical woodsy courses, Kyle Klein could pull out some sneaky wins, and one of those could be a major. So I'm going total hot take here, and I'm not going to pick any of the typical people might say, but Kyle Klein is like my person to watch, and he can't be Rookie of the Year this year because he actually won PDGA Rookie of the Year for 2020. But if you guys don't know who Kyle Klein is, young discraft player out of Michigan with just a deadly forehand and one of the smoothest putts you'll ever see. Along the same lines, like you got Adam Hannes, who just absolutely destroyed the first couple tournaments of the year at Shelly Sharp, at the Maricopa. So I'm really excited to see what he did, and I haven't seen how his round was today. I stopped watching when we started the podcast, but I'm really excited to see what he does. Rookie of the Year, that's tough because it's so early into the year. I haven't seen. Raven Newsom is a name that I've been hearing a bunch.
Yeah, that's the one that I've got pulled up on the screen in front of me right here. So you've stolen my answer right there, but yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, no, that's a name I've been hearing a bunch. You I don't know much about him. It's just a name I've been hearing a ton, and I know it's his first year actually touring, so I don't even know who he's sponsored by, Harry, to be totally honest.
Well, he's sponsored by Team MVP, in fact.
Oh, and, wicked.
So he's a young guy from Raleigh in North Carolina. I think he's probably 20 or 21. I've seen a few of his YouTube videos. He's very, very confident is what you'll find if you listen to him talk about anything. He knows that he's the best, which is something that you always find people who are the best also know that they're the best. There's a lot of people who think they're the best who aren't as well. So it's not a sign of anything. But if you hear Paul talking, or you hear Ricky talking, or any of the world champions in disc golf, they know that they're going to win, which is something that you have to have in order to be really good. And I think that's one of the things that Raven's got. And he was going to be my pick for potential Rookie of the Year. So we'll see how his tour goes, because again, it could be a flash in the pan, but he could be up there.
My pick for Move of the Year by the Disc Golf Pro Tour is bringing Ian Anderson in to do commentary. Oh, yes. It was so awesome listening to him today. I didn't read that announcement, so I was like super excited when I heard that smooth Central Coast voice. And I won't say anything about Nate Doss because, I mean, he's got his moments, but like I think there was a time today when like Ian Anderson was like, and this hole's a par 3, and Nate Doss is pretty much like, yeah, and that means you have got to get there in 3 shots. It's like, thanks, Nate Doss.
Yeah, I think I think one of the things that Ian is going to have to do this year, if he's going to be doing, I don't know if he's doing commentary every tournament or what, but whoever works with Nate, I think making sure that Nate's role as color commentator is Nate's role. That's his official title. And really, he kind of does play-by-play and color commentary, and the other person in the booth kind of has to try and get a word in edgeways a little bit sometimes. So I think whoever can join with Nate and sort of bring the best out of him without him speaking 85% of the time will be the successful duo that they're looking for. Because I do think Nate has some really great insights.
And your boy, who's been on your podcast a couple times, Mr. Jamie Thomas, is doing an amazing time today doing his live work from the field. I'm really excited. He's awesome for that role. He was great in the booth, but he's so dynamic. He's such a great guy to have out there with the players. So I'm excited. He's also a New Orleans, Louisiana guy, and a huge fan of my New Orleans Saints. So I'm a big Jamie Thomas fan.
Yeah, we're Jamie Thomas fans here on the podcast as well, and it's exciting to see him take up a bigger sort of role outside of just doing the commentary this year, working full time on the Disc Golf Network and
absolutely
producing content for them as well. So yeah, I spoke with Jamie, and he said that if I ever come up with an idea that he thinks I can pitch to the Disc Golf Network, then he's all ears. So I gotta think of something worthwhile to bring to him at some point. So yeah, Brandon, we're almost out of time. I wanted to do a giveaway today, and I haven't got around to it. So here we go, guys. This is how the giveaway is going to work. You're going to have to comment in the chat. You don't have to say anything specific, but everybody who has commented today, everyone who's joined me tonight will have been entered. If you have been listening for the whole show, you're still here with us right now, and you haven't typed anything in the chat box, now is your time to get something in. At the end of the show, I'm going to go through all the comments, and I'm going to pick one random person, and they're going to be given a choice of one of these two dyed Latitude 64 discs that I happen to have lying around. So this is a Culverin with a really sparkly stamp and kind of a faded dye. These are both used secondhand discs, but you guys might appreciate them more than me. They're just sitting on my shelf. So this is a Culverin. I'm trying to get it in the light, but yeah, it's sort of a dyed Culverin. And the other one is my favorite Disc Golf Valley disc. So this is where me and Brandon know each other from originally, and it wouldn't be a show with Brandon without the anchor making an appearance. So the Latitude 64 anchor with a neat anchor die on it.
If you guys flick, that is a great forehand mid.
Yeah,
that anchor.
It is really cool. It is really cool. Obviously not in my bag, but so yeah, whoever wins the giveaway will get to pick between the anchor and the Culverin. So yeah, get your comment in chat if you haven't. And Brandon, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a blast. I can't believe we've been an hour already.
Harry, thank you, buddy. It was a great time. I hear my kids driving my wife crazy upstairs, so I think the timing is probably perfect.
The timing is perfect. We got to bounce, but everybody in chat, thank you for joining me. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you next week. Get your charity auction things sent in and sign up for the Patreon.
Thank you guys so much. Nice seeing everyone.
Nice seeing you all. See you later, guys. Bye.